This online influencer recently got arrested in Japan and fled the country after having a very public meltdown. If this man walked by you doing one of his very public freakouts, it would be very understandable for you to think that he was off his meds or his caretaker couldn't find him. His name is Joshua Block, deciding to go by his online persona World of T-shirts, boasting a huge following of 3.7 million followers just on TikTok. From rather humble beginnings trying to get verified on the platform to straight up divulging into alcoholistic content just 2 years later, it's sad to see that other influencers who weren't burdened with the same type of conditions Joshua has decided to take advantage of him, instead of realizing that the further they pushed him down the rabbit hole, the harder it would be for Joshua to climb back out of it. Sadly, this has culminated to the people that follow him on his platform being the same people who follow him on the streets, saying the most triggering thing they can just to add to the laundry list of bad behavior that Joshua then just posts on his platform to have more people laugh at him. You see, it wasn't always like this. Josh wasn't always hanging out with controversial OF managers who sign girls on the moment they turn 18, or other controversial nuisance streamers that are finding themselves in just as much hot water in Japan themselves right now. 2 years ago, Joshua wasn't even an alcoholic, and when he first started his online content creation, his first viral video was him eating crickets saying, "Hey yo, exotic food check."
Yo, exotic food check.
In the beginning, Joshua was basically hopping on any trend he could find just to capitalize on the views that that trend had to offer. And he thought he was killing it, but what he didn't realize is that people were just laughing at him for how horribly he was doing these trends and how basically inaccurate things like his lip syncing videos were. In reality, the same people that were making fun of Josh were the same people who didn't have the courage to get up and put themselves in the limelight for the online community as well. But as the internet's proven time and time again, they'll take somebody who's determined for success and turn them into their own internet lolcow for them to point and laugh at. Unfortunately, in the times when Joshua needed somebody to come in and let him know that people weren't actually supporting him, but instead wanting to see his downfall, the people that did come to his quote-unquote rescue are only people that wanted to capitalize on Joshua's views at the time, inevitably introducing him to more bad habits along the way. Unfortunately, if I was to go over Joshua Block's entire history, his rise and fall, I would be sitting here all day recording, as well as the video would be an hour long. Hell, maybe I'll even take a few weeks to script, record, and well edit a rise and fall video of Joshua Block on my other channel, since that channel seems to do better with longer form videos. But on this video, I'm going to keep it short and keep to the cliff notes of what happened recently. So how does Joshua Block go from eating crickets on TikTok for views to having public crash outs, being a nuisance to everybody around him, yelling, screaming, throwing bottles, and biting people? Like I said, the beginnings of Joshua Block's content creation was rather innocent. Now, I haven't talked about Joshua Block on my other channel or this channel because at the end of the day, too many people cover him too nefariously and they just try to take advantage of his downfall. But the reason I want to cover him now is because I just want to point out how horrible the internet can be to some people and how it can basically make people crazy with all the gaslighting people do online. The human brain wasn't designed to get the amount of attention the internet can provide one person nowadays, and when the attention turns into negative attention, the human brain has insane ways to cope with it. The combined hate that Joshua was getting in his videos started culminating within cracks in his personality, and he started showing that really blatantly when he wanted to charge people $50 for him simply appearing in people's videos.
He would begin charging his fans $50 for the privilege of taking a photo with him, with multiple videos being released of him basically demanding money from fans. Of these, perhaps the most popular is a video of him in Central Park, where a fan pays him to sing a song, with Josh looking even more dead-eyed than usual.
Yeah, New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
Regardless of Joshua's personality going through a very blatant crisis, very apparent through his content at the time, other content creators that were around Joshua at the time started seeing him as a way for them to gain popularity by taking advantage of Joshua's views. One of these guys being Michael Quinn. Michael Quinn and people like him, mind you, Michael Quinn had a actual hot dog stand in New York City, which makes him one of the most generic New Yorkers I've ever seen on the internet. They would see that Joshua had a tendency to get addicted to things that are generically very easy to get addicted addicted to. And on that same note, Michael Quinn was very adamant about encouraging Joshua's alcohol abuse at the time. This unfortunately led Joshua to dive straight into alcoholism.
Hey guys, let's try to recreate this feeling for the rest of our lives with drugs.
And at the time of Michael Quinn's involvement in Joshua's content, there are so many, like hundreds of videos of them binge drinking, that the dude was clearly just encouraging him to go overboard. The unfortunate thing for Joshua is that this wasn't just a phase like a lot of other TikTok trends that he left in the past. Unfortunately, leading into content nowadays where just 2 years into drinking, he has the shakes if he doesn't have a certain amount of alcohol before a certain time of day.
I think I'll take my whiskey neat, my coffee black and in my bed at 3. You're too sweet for me. You're too sweet for me.
I mean, that is so sad to see, especially since we can all assume that it's not entirely Josh's fault, since he has some things that are mentally not correct with him, that he was prone to falling victim to these highly addictive substances. Break? I want to pet a kitty. Hi. Aww. So the content shift for Joshua was absolutely insane after the alcohol entered his life. It seemed like he was playing into it a little bit, but at the end of the day, it really didn't seem like a good choice for him to make.
In New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York.
Was he playing into it a little bit for views? Probably, but at the end of the day, he also had a lot of interventions and a lot of people that wanted to ask him if he was willing to quit, and the denial was very blatant.
Well, I just don't think you should be shaking that set. Shaking a little bit is normal with a hand.
I think it's normal.
Shaking a little bit is normal. I may not be an alcoholic, but I might have a drinking problem. That's a little different. I can quit whenever I want. I think being an alcoholic in your 20s is cool.
But at the end of the day, it does seem like Danny Duncan has a little bit of remorse for Joshua's situation and does actively try to help him out a little bit, trying to get him to see a therapist.
If you do ever need help, though, we are here to help you.
Right.
Just
Tonight
like
I just want to go out, get some drink.
Maybe
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow.
maybe tomorrow we do the intervention.
No intervention.
The thing is, though, Danny Duncan didn't really have any really good influence on Joshua. This is Joshua today.
I can't breathe.
So it's safe to say that nothing has worked for Joshua. But I argue one of the worst enablers that has ever entered Joshua's life to date is a guy named Mr. Based. Quick, I want to talk about the sponsor of this video, Verger. Now, unlike a lot of other YouTubers that claim their product that they're sponsored with is either going to cure AIDS or bring your parents back together, what I can guarantee is this power bank will keep your phone charged no matter what. Now, what's cool about this power bank is it comes stock with micro USB, USB-C, and your proprietary Apple cord. Gone are the days where you can use the excuse that you don't have your friend's special cord to be able to lend them a charge. But hey, it's got enough power to charge both of your phones and possibly save your friendship. Now your friend has enough charge to order Uber Eats for the both of you while you sit back, eat pizza, and plug this thing directly into the wall. And now, back to the video.
You cannot stop Josh from drinking. He will die. He's at a stage of alcoholic that if you take away all the alcohol, he can die. He said you're not allowed to stop. You got to wean it down.
You have to taper.
We had to taper it down, right?
Does that mean I can never drink again when I get sober?
No. If you can learn to handle it, you could be a social drinker.
Okay.
Promise you that.
That is probably the worst advice you could give somebody who's suffering from alcoholism, but it's clear that Mr. Bass is only there to get the views from Joshua while calling him his friend, but, you know, friends don't do that kind of thing to people they care about. This guy is like Willy Wonka if you replace the candy with life-altering, habit-forming drugs. And that becomes clear the more you go through Mr. Bass' account and see how much he's taking advantage of Joshua in every post. It's just so sad to see that the outcome of Joshua could have been so much different if people entered his life that actually wanted to see him succeed on a non-addictive, you know, living up to the potential that he had in the beginning but instead just wanted to be predatory against his views and take his clout, especially horrible people, because it's obvious Johnny can't really tell a person with good intentions versus a person with bad intentions, as long as they present themselves in a friendly manner at the time. Fast forward to a post Joshua made where he announced that he was going to Japan, and he was going to make content from there. And considering Japan with the nuisance influencer trend going on there, this couldn't have meant anything good. Just like everybody could have predicted, things started to go south very, very quickly in Japan.
I would like to try dog meat. Eating dog, that sounds funny.
Now, it's clear that Joshua wasn't ready for the stark difference in cultures that Japan had to offer versus, you know, the US, because in the US, people are just gonna watch him. They're not gonna do much. They might yell, "Put the fries in the bag."
Put the fries in the bag, Josh.
Just put the fries in the bag. Oh my god, oh my god. Yo, no, he just punched him. He just punched him in the face.
Did he just kick you?
What the fuck was that?
I'm
He
so
punched
sorry.
the guy.
Whose car? Gosh, get the fuck off that car, you lunatic.
And this is a perfect example why I say Mr. Bass is extremely bad for Josh and just wants to benefit himself. Instead of getting your supposed friend off of the vehicle, you record it and you're like, no, Josh, get off the car. For, I guess, like, plausible deniability. Like, it's one thing that you need help, but to refuse that help and then go on and become a public liability. Let's just say, for example, this is your car or anybody else's car. Josh is extremely lucky that somebody hasn't put him in the hospital for doing something like this to their property. Dude, if this was my car, which my car is older than me and looks like it just came out of the factory yesterday, and I happened to see this going on, Josh is definitely getting off the car, head first. But in Japan, you know, people are actually doing citizens arrests on him. They're not putting up with it. They're not letting him go on his tirades on the street. Unfortunately, he didn't take this the right way. He could have taken it as a wake-up call, but no, he didn't. He took things extremely literally and didn't understand the difference between a citizen's arrest and the police arresting him. So he just thought that the citizens were just being dicks.
Under citizen's arrest, and the police wanted to talk to me, but I wasn't under actual arrest. You know what a citizen's arrest is?
Yeah.
It's where a civilian brings you to the police to talk to the police. It's not a real arrest. You know what that is, Richard?
Yeah, I got it.
It's not an actual arrest. It's a citizen's arrest.
Unfortunately, him thinking that it wasn't an actual arrest led to him getting on the streets and doing the same thing again. When people just yelled at him, put the fries in the bag, which is obviously to get a rise out of him. He just unsolicitedly told people how much he makes and then went on to bite somebody.
He beat me. What? No.
He bit me. Last night we're out with Joshua Blocky.
What the?
Running around and yelling at people that you make 400 grand and using that as an excuse to act like an absolute animal, like a drunken idiot in the streets, is something I even think that he knows is wrong. And it's probably time for some people who actually have the goodwill of him at heart to stage a real intervention. Maybe keep the alcohol in the fridge and talk to him while he's sober and formulate a plan for how he's going to get better in the future. Do I think that's gonna happen? Probably not, but we can hope. But what we can take from this story thus far as it's played out is that if you're a viewer on the internet, your words do affect people's lives and they can lead to the downfall, especially when people are suffering mental disabilities like he is. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel. I recently made a video about how Bella Gibson faked cancer and scammed her audience for money, and if you don't want to watch that video, YouTube thinks you might enjoy this one here. I'll see you in the next video tomorrow. Peace.